welcome everybody again to our monthly meeting, and glad to have you here, and hope everybody's still remaining safe. Um, I've got a couple of questions. Everybody's getting anxious to get back together again, and I understand that because part of what we do is share, and sharing seems so much easier when we can see each other and talk directly. One of the things I'm considering, we're going to start a few classes this summer, July and August. Check the Mount Diablo Adult Ed catalog, and you'll find that there's a 101 class for our beginning friends, which Richard is going to lead. I'm going to do a stacked box class, similar to the things that we're going to do in show and tell. That's for people who've been around for a while who just want to get together and do a little bit of playing, and I'll be doing that. And then John Cobb will be doing his Hollow Vessels class. So those are the three we're doing, but in all three cases, we're limiting the attendance to 12 persons maximum, with a whole series of restrictions from the school district about in-classroom behavior, distancing, masking, touching, things like that. So that's our startup to kind of test out things. I'll be pulling some lays out so that we will not have lays next to each other. So of our 22 machines, probably half of them will be stored away so we can have the necessary space. One of the things I want to ask everybody, and just open this for a few minutes of comment, we used to have an open studio, which we ran Friday mornings, and it was a drop-in. And people would come either to work in the environment with other people or to bring their problems and questions and options to our staff to work out, or perhaps even to access equipment that you may not have had at home. I'm considering restarting a virtual open studio. The thought being that we can get together in this kind of a format and just discuss. I know some of the other clubs do that once a week and sometimes once a month, where people just get together and talk, or you can hold something up and show it and ask questions and so on. What do you think about starting a Friday morning virtual open studio? And it's going to look a lot like this.
Would this be a free thing or a cost thing?
As long as it stays virtual, it'll be free, because we'll be doing it through the auspices of the Bay Area Woodturners Association and not through the school. So it'll be a free thing until we start using school facilities again. Other comments?
Jim, I think it's a great idea.
Would you come with questions, or would you come to listen, or just to chat with our friends?
All the above.
Well, we've been thinking about it, and I'm willing to start doing that Friday mornings. And this gives Michelle and Michael and a couple of other people who are not right here in the neighborhood a chance to also participate with us, and Gary for that matter. So we can stay close to our friends that are not physically close to us.
What times were you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking that it would be taking the same time slot we normally been using, which would be 9 to 12 Friday mornings. I'm not going to do it every week, but let's try every other week temporarily to see how that works. And if you're interested and you want to share or show something, you got to be prepared to figure out how to do that on your own. And holding it up to the camera isn't a bad idea as long as you hold it steady. Works pretty good. So I'll start that. We'll have a virtual open studio. We will, in the fall, start back with regular classes as best we can, given that there's no hiccups in the COVID-19 behaviors in the Bay Area. We're moving in the right direction now, and that's good. And I think most of our members have been vaccinated, which is also good. And given that we have some guidelines from the school district about wiping things down, masking, and so on, I think we'll be prepared in the fall. But I can't commit to that, because between now and September, things can happen. Hopefully not. If we do get started back, our hope is that we can start on August 14th, excuse me, with our summer picnic, which gives us a chance to be outdoors, getting together with each other, being able to maintain some social distancing. So you might want to pencil onto your calendar August 14th as a possible return to in-person meeting, which would be at the same park where we've met in the last couple of 3 years. But August 14th would be the date if we start. It's not guaranteed. The space is reserved. We're ready to do it if everything continues to develop in the same way it has been. And we have our fingers crossed. And the board will make a final decision on that at the appropriate time. But we're holding off making that decision for as long as possible.
Would that include the tool swap?
It would. We talked about that. Now, the thing about tool swap, we used to put everything kind of together and we'd all crowd around and do stuff. We got to not do that. So I'm going to ask, if we do this, everybody bring their own little display table if you want it up off the ground, and we will have to separate out. But just a few things about accommodation like that. But yeah, the tool swap's always been a fun part of it.
It's a big park.
Yeah, yeah. We all got stuff we want to get rid of, and we always see things that we want to have. So it's always a fun part of the whole thing. So we're hoping for that.
Hey, Jim?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah, just also as a member of the board, just to point out that obviously this all depends also on the county, the state, the park authority, all of them giving the green light in the first instance, and then it looking like it's good from our point of view too. So
That's
I'll just have to stay tuned.
Because we start off with the fact that the state and then the county and the park district, and it has to roll all the way downhill. And there's just too many things for us to make any kind of commitments at this point in time. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to talk about a challenge for next month, but I'll wait till a little while later to talk about the President's Challenge. There's been fewer and fewer people participating each month, and I've been trying to give you something that would
Video on.
a little bit harder and to get it out there for you. But I think we'll try something next month just a little bit differently. But first, let's take care of any other announcement we have. Hugh, you said we have a new person joining us.
Yes, we have. We have a David Morris. We have several Morrises, but he goes by the name of David, and others go by Dave, etc. But anyway, so if David Morris is tuned in, so if you'd like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, say who you are, welcome to the club.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So David Morris, I go by Dave or David. Relatively new to wood turning. I've taken a few classes at the Crucible and really enjoy it immensely. Am a member of the Mount Diablo Woodworkers and have sort of followed you guys online and got Jim's book and signed up for classes now and again. Looking forward to having it open so that I can have some experienced wood turners make sure I don't make newbie mistakes. Have worked with Donna Lozan, who was the sort of, I guess was a member of this group at one point, sort of introduced me to stuff at the Crucible. I've taken a couple of classes since. I have an old Rockwell Delta, big old lathe that I'm trying to learn how to use. So that's where I am, really. I love the work that you guys do and super excited about learning more from all of you. Sorry for the noise in the background. We've got a new puppy, and apparently they've just had an accident in the house. So I apologize.
Well, welcome to you and the puppy.
Timing is everything.
Thank you. The puppy will undoubtedly show up on the screen at some point here, but it sounds like they're in the doghouse, literally now.
Well, welcome, David. I appreciate you being here. We do have another Dave Morris, and when you came up with your name showing it, it was not the face that I recognized. So glad to have you, and thank you very much. Larry, you want to comment a little bit about how we're doing with our Beads of Courage program?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Welcome, David. You joined not only a great club, but a great group of people. They've made this Beads of Courage thing take off, and we're doing really well. We've, to this point, donated somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 to 40 boxes to 4 different hospitals. Some of them don't have storage capacity, so we'll be refueling them as they go. But I've had some good feedback. There's one letter in the newsletter from a mom. It's kind of more general, but she thanks, among others, artists, and that's you guys. So it's pretty heartwarming. I also received a couple short little letters from different moms and a couple pictures, which made my allergies act up. I can't share the pictures because of privacy reasons, but they're pretty heart-wrenching. So, you know, if I could show those to you, it would really warm your hearts. We were talking at the board meeting the other day that some people might feel a little guilty because they haven't participated. The analogy that we used was a sports analogy, that not everybody carries the football over the goal line, but everybody has a part in it. So you're all part of this club, and you're all part of what makes this happen. So if you do want to participate, the information is on the front page of the website. You can contact me. All the specifics are in there. But if you have any questions at all, I'll help you through it. So thanks, everybody. Great job. You're going to love one of the boxes that you see here that John Lawson made. And you're going to want to imitate it like I want to imitate it. But anyway, thanks, and let's keep it going. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. I got a couple of emails from different people, Carl and 2 or 3 other people, about trying to get the message out about wood. And so the board had a discussion about that, and we've come up with a plan I think is the best way for us to do it within our organization. And Steve, you want to talk to us a little bit about what we're going to be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Good. Yeah, for me, one of the great benefits, among the many benefits of BAWA, is access to great wood. Sadly, with the pandemic, we haven't been able to have the wood raffles. But one of the other ways that BAWA can get wood for our members is when someone sees a tree coming down or has a neighbor with a pile of wood that they need to unload. And we broadcast that to everybody through what we call a wood alert, a email blast that some of you are, I'm sure, familiar with. And so I just wanted to refresh everyone's memory on how to use that. And we've just tweaked our website a little bit to make sure it's all up and running properly, and it is now. And I'm just going to quick share my screen to point out. So if you are in a situation where some wood comes to your attention that you think your fellow members might want a piece of, here's what you do. So I'm going to screen share now. All right, are you all seeing this?
Got it.
Yes.
All right, so easiest way to do it is to log into the BAWA website. Here you see the home page. And just like any other website, you want to find someone, you want to write them an email, go over here to contacts. Put your cursor on there, click on it. And here you have the board members and the Woodmeister. Our Woodmeister is Tony Wolcott. As many of you know, Tony is an incredible resource. He is a certified arborist, used to be the arborist for the city of Albany, and a longtime member of our club, and knows everything you could possibly imagine about wood. And he's our current Woodmeister, meaning he is the guy to coordinate the distribution of wood when we find stuff. So if you find something, just come here, click on that link, and there you are. You're in communication with Tony. Send him an email and let him know what you got. I would really, really strongly encourage folks to include photos. If you've got photos, it really, really helps everyone know whether they're interested. And it helps Tony assess the situation. The reason I say that is sometimes people will send info about some wood, and it may be, for instance, a log. And sometimes a single log can be of interest because maybe it's spalted or maybe it's a really beautiful kind of wood, but there may not be very much of it. And Tony is the person who will assess, is this something that we should send out to everybody? or not. And if not, then we'll talk to the person who sent it and say, look, this is probably not suitable to send to everybody because it's not going to be enough to go around for more than like 1 or 2 people. So what should we do? Who would you like to send it to? Or sometimes someone will find what they think looks like some great wood, and it turns out it's pine or something, and Tony can look at it and say, no, that's not really turnable. So get in touch with Tony, and he has contacts within the technical folks here at BAWA. To once he's determined, yeah, let's send this out, he will take care of getting the information sent out to everybody in a email blast, and then it will go to all the memberships, all the members, I should say. So that's pretty much the system. It's very simple. Contact Tony. To find Tony, you can go to the website. Of course, you can also look at your latest newsletter, or you can find the newsletters here as well. And on the newsletter, you'll see that we always list the links for the different people, including the Woodmeister. That's it. Any questions about that? Hearing none, Jim, back to you.
Thank you very much. So Michael can read the article about him while we're talking about him here too. He's going to know what we said about him.
It's all good.
All good. A couple of other quick things. On the schedule, as Steve scrolled through it, there was an indication on the 20th of this month, Rick Nelson is going to be doing our next sawdust session, which is a virtual shop tour. We twisted his arm far enough that it was hurting, and he finally agreed to do it. So watch for a link. We haven't done one for a little while, and he's the next one up. I'm also always looking for people who want to share a little bit of their place or their process. It doesn't take a lot. The technology necessary for do a little shop tour is very, very simple. And working with Richard and David, we'll set up something for you, and become a fun challenge so we can see where you work. The Diablo Woodworkers have a shop tour every month, and if you go see a very common shop, you will find something in that background or in the tools or something that you've not seen before, or an idea that you've said, wow, that's neat, I hadn't thought about that. So getting a chance to see everybody's working facility is kind of fun. So we encourage you to step forward, even if you're using a part of your garage. We would love to see what you're doing. So if you're interested, contact Richard and talk to him about what it might take to do it. And if you're just slightly interested, give him a call and have a chat. And let's see if we can bring that up.
Hey, Jim?
Yes.
Just to jump in again, I would only add, you don't have to be a long time advanced, super duper recognized anything. Just even if you're beginning, even if you're intermediate, even if you have a tiny little shop, whatever. It's always interesting, no matter whose shop it is. And I second what Jim says. You always see something that goes, huh, I should have had one of those, or I could put my tools this way, or that's a clever way to do this. And also for the person doing the shop tour, having done one, you get all kinds of interesting conversations going that I learned from when people said, you know, well, have you thought about doing such and such? So it's great fun, and it's very simple, and all you need is your phone or a laptop. That's it.
The technology can be complicated and can look simple, but still be complicated. And it's not important. Just a phone or your laptop is all you really need, and we'll work it out with you. I want to see your shops. So speaking of what I want to see you do, right before we go to show and tell, and I'll move through this quickly, I want to keep going with the President's Challenge. And it's obvious that I need to move in a different direction because of the amount of participation. But I was thinking about pieces that I've turned in the past that were really things I really liked. You know, every now and then you do something that's outstanding in your own mind and separates from most of your other work. You might still have it. You might have given it away or sold it, and that's okay. But next month, I would like to see a representation of one of your best pieces, something that you particularly like. I have a bowl. It's not necessarily great, but I just like it for some reason, and that kind of thing. If you don't have it anymore, this is a great opportunity to go out in the shop and make another one, very much like the one you just had. It gives you a chance to continue to get back in the shop and create messes on the floor. So next month, I'm looking for one of your favorites. And I think this is the case where everybody can participate. And if that favorite you gave to a family member, well, then go in the shop and duplicate it. Okay. Richard, we ought to get into our show and tell because we are looking forward for Michael's presentation, and I'm taking too much time this morning.
Jim, quick question.
Yes.
Is that something that we would submit with a photograph for the President's Challenge?
Yes. Yes. We'll do it the same way we've done President's Challenge and before. You send a picture of that item to Richard, and what he'll do, he'll put it into the show and tell or the President's Challenge, depending on how you define it when you send it. And then he'll probably send you back a note and say, okay, got it, you're number 4 or whatever. And so you'll know that you're in line. So yeah, off to Richard.
Okay, did everybody see?
We can, and Mr. Lawson is up first here. So John, what have you got for us? Let's see, we get
There
back.
we go.
There we go.
Well, it's a 7-inch ball. It's kind of like on my the scope of what I do for making my piggy banks. It was kind of a pain to draw up the diagram for like to make it look like a soccer ball. It took me 4 times with my template to make the design. It's carved and then it's painted with latex enamel. And I figured that was good because most homes have latex enamel for molding and stuff like that. And it was just, it took me a little longer just, you know, with the carving and stuff and the trying to do the detailing on it. But, and the lines here are, you know, to separate the figures. I mean, were I had when I carved them, I used a permanent marker pen. Didn't work that good, so my wife ended up painting it black, and also doing the black spots on the ball. But it was good to do, it was fun.
Neat. I really like it. Thank you. So Jim Campbell's up next. I'll give everybody a heads up before, and I forgot to do that. So Jean-Louis will be after Jim. Go for it, Jim. Mr. Campbell. Is he here?
He was here earlier.
Checking.
Got it. Sorry, I was on mute.
There you go.
All right. So for those of you who saw my Facebook post or saw my Penn Turner's post to quote those old lines, I've gotten back into hemp in my older age. This is what hemp looks like. It's a compressed wood, much like the construction material used in housing, but it's made out of hemp wood instead, or hemp stalks instead. And I bought an engraver from a gentleman back in Kentucky who sold hemp pen blanks. He didn't have any, but he looked through his shop. He was packing up the movie. He looked through his shop and he found some offcuts and he threw them in the box. And so when they showed up, I turned the Sierras first out of one of the blanks and thought, that looks neat. Let me go ahead and turn these other ones in some other items, in some other pens and see what it looks like. And so what you have here is you have from left to right, you have a Sierra. You have a Navigator, which is woodcraft. You have a Seam Gripper, which came out of Penn State. You have a hybrid cigar, which came out of Berea, and then you have an elegant Sierra, which also came from Berea. So I was just playing around with this hemp wood a little bit, kind of fun stuff. And people, you know, there was one guy on Penn Turner who absolutely hates the compressed wood and doesn't like seeing it turn. There's people who don't like hemp wood because they think it blows out too easy or it's too hard to turn or a bunch of different things. So it's not something everybody loves, but I kind of like the look of it. I think it's a pretty wood.
Looks a lot like OSB.
OSB is, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, oriented strand board, the construction materials, which is a,
Yes, yes, yeah.
it's
Yep.
beautiful. I
What
like
this
it.
guy, yep, this stuff here is made by a company called hempwood.com, and they use soy-based product as their primary adhesive. So they only have 2% resin in the entire block that they make. So it's actually relatively environmentally friendly, and they work with the universities back here to try to find a market for hempwood.
Okay, thank you very much. Jean-Louis and then Rick Nelson, get ready.
Hi, everybody. I decided to embellish the sphere that I did with a finial on the top and a spiral at the bottom. I got the idea of a spiral from this 18th, 16th century book, the Manuel du Tourneur, and I end up with 16 different axes. Each little disc is 1 centimeter diameter and 2.5 millimeter thick. I had a full turn in the middle and reverse turn on each side to come back to the middle, to the center, on top of the sycamore base.
Thank you. That's a difficult thing to do, and I haven't seen anybody do a Chinese ball in years, and I'm happy to see that. For those of you who have never figured out how this is done, Jean-Louis is going to have to provide us with a tutorial on that one of these days. It is not easy, and it takes multiples of tools and a lot of careful layout and measurement.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Rick Nelson, are you here? I didn't see you earlier.
Yeah, no, I'm here, Jim.
Okay, and after that, Andy first.
Yeah, I guess the first thing I've learned this morning is don't follow John Louis with your show and tell. Yeah, though this obviously is a bowl from a board, but in our last wood sale, the Bowa wood sale, I was fortunate enough to get my hands on some Purple Heart as well as walnut, and the zebra wood I actually came across at Rockler. I'd never used that before, so I decided I didn't have much of it. I better try and figure out how to make a bowl out of it. But I was pretty happy with the way this one had come out. And also in the last month, this was my other project, or big project, and this is Peruvian walnut with just walnut oil on it, or Mahoney's oil on it, and of course maple for accent. I'd never done a open segment vase before, and I really didn't know quite how to do it, but I wound up making 2 halves of it and putting it together in the middle, just as I would have if it would have been a solid vase. But anyway, I was also happy with the way this had come out. So thank you.
Love the dark color of that. That's really great. So Andy Firth and Gary Bingham, get ready.
Right, so just to orient you to the piece, the centerpiece is a piece of furniture that I inherited from my dad. It's a drink stand. And I wanted to replicate this piece of furniture for my siblings after my father passed away. You'll see there that I had a whole bunch of practice pieces and my pride and joy, the prototype on the right-hand side. The things I learned from this project is that spindle turning is hard. Replicating shapes on spindle turning is really hard. The wood I used was walnuts. The finish I used ended up being tung oil. I started off with cabana wax and didn't like how the finish was and had to take it all off and replace it with tung oil. And the best thing that came out of this project for me was that the bottom spindle was so long I had to buy a bigger lathe.
Sounds like a high quality problem to have. Thank you so much. I remember being in Ireland once, and the Irish Wood Turning Federation was talking about, we don't understand you Americans making all those bowls. The money's always in the spindle work. Thank you. So I guess I'm next, and then, no, Gary's up. Gary Bingham, then me.
So this is really nothing special. It's a one box on the right-hand side. The left-hand box, the top blew up when I turned it around and tried to do some fancy stuff. And I really have trouble throwing away pieces of my work. So what I did is I turned it, and it fits on top quite well. But and then the wife, I did some milk paint on the top and the bottom of some new milk paint. So ready for the next slide. So this is obviously nothing special compared to all the wonderful pieces that preceded me. But this is, there was an article in the American Woodturners Association, February of this year, Dolls for Play and Healing. And I had never made any dolls before. So those are my 4 little dolls. My wife loves them a lot. And that's my simple presentations. I'll just mention that I live now in El Paso, Texas, so I'm looking for some activities for meetings next and exhibits and expositions. The Texas Wood Turners, they have a SWAT. It's called the Southwest Association of Wood Turners. They've got a meeting in Waco, August 27th. I'm going to probably go to. So I thought I'd share that, and that's all I have for today.
Thank you, Gary. That SWAT is one of the oldest get-togethers for wood turners. You'll enjoy it a lot. So Larry, get ready. You're behind me. So I've got 2 pictures to show, and these both come from the videos that Dave and I have been producing. We did one on small vessels. These are stacked woods. This is not segmented like my transitional vessels. The block in the back, that square of aluminum, is 1 inch. And I think the one that's in the center and on the far left are the ones that we used in the video. And the one on the right, I put together after I got back. At spalted ash, believe it or not, on the right side. And the center band is Buckeye Burl. And I tend to use a lot of holly for the necks on the pieces. Some I like better than others. But anyway, that's first one. Second picture. This is the video that Dave and I are working on right now. And the vessel in the back is the one that will be in the video. This is all acrylic. Acrylic is like turning anything else except it's not. It turns pretty much like anything else, but it has a tendency to grab and catch very, very badly. So tendency is to work with negative rake scrapers where possible. These are threaded lids. The one in the back is the one that we made in the video, and David's still in the editing process, so watch for the process video for this to be coming out pretty soon. So thank you. Right on to Larry and Charlie. Saul after Larry.
This is a Beads of Courage bowl that was made for a little guy at John Muir Hospital. He wants to be Spider-Man when he grows up. So it was kind of a custom job. It's segmented maple with Purple Heart feature ring, and the figures are painted with acrylic paints. Burned first and then painted. That's it. It was a fun project. That's one of the pictures I got too, which was kind of heart-wrenching.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Charlie, then Carl Mercer after Charlie.
Hi there, guys. Well, this is a salad bowl with matching servers. And the thing that I wanted to show you guys is that the servers are that method where you take 2 boards and glue them up and then separate them with a piece of paper. Usually newspaper is what I've done before, but I don't subscribe to a newspaper anymore. So I used just regular copy paper, and I thought for sure that the 2 were going to stick. And as it turned out, they just peeled apart so easily. You can see the large knot in one handle, and you'd say, oh, probably will break. But no, it peeled apart just perfectly, and a little sanding, and that took care of it. But I thought it was a nice little set.
I think it came out beautifully, and the wood is beautiful also. What are the serving pieces made out of?
So this is all liquid amber.
Hmm.
The servers are just a little kind of offcut from it.
Oh,
Thank you, sir. Charlie, Carl Mercer, and we'll finish up our show and tell with Dennis next. Carl?
Can you hear me now? Um,
And now.
okay. I don't know what type wood this is. A friend of mine gave me some wood. The dimensions on it is about 5 by 6 by 7. The dark contrasting wood is mahogany. The little diamonds in the top is, I don't know, just some light wood. And it's got a walnut for the bead to open the box. And on this one, it was so light, I put a very, very light stain on it. I took some stain and diluted it down quite a bit to get it, because I like the color of it. I tried 3 or 4 different pieces before I got the one that I wanted. So it does have a light stain on it. And then it was finished with lacquer. And next box. Okay, this was turned by a friend of mine over here in the valley. And he's an excellent turner. As a matter of fact, he's helping me out with a few of my difficulties. Anyway, it was carob wood. And I believe the dimensions on it is about 5 by 6. And I'm sorry, I can't remember the wood on top for the knob. I can't remember. And he just finishes it with oil and wax. And that's about all I've got on them.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. Let's close out with Dennis.
I've been interested in the basket illusion technique ever since I think it was Jim, you demonstrated it at a BAWA meeting. And then I saw a number of completed projects at the Utah Symposium and the Portland Symposium. And I thought that looked like a pretty interesting way to do things. This one, I used an article by Harvey Meyer, who I see is going to be at the July meeting, which is kind of nice. He had an article in the American Wood Turner of October 2016, which really laid out the process very well. And this is a platter. It's 10.5 inches in diameter. It's about 1/4 inch thick. It's made out of maple. It dishes approximately 1 inch, so it's pretty flat. The beading was done with D-Way beading tools, 1/8 inch beads in the center area, and then 3/16 at the rim, which is pretty much standard as far as I can tell for this sort of stuff. The design, something that I haven't read about anybody doing is I roughed it out on an Excel spreadsheet. Excel, if you're familiar with it, lets you color the cells in the spreadsheet. So it's a very quick way to create a rough design. The problem is it's rectilinear, and you have a circular object here. So next step then is to actually do it on a piece of polar graph paper. Once you get the pattern, you can proceed with actually making it. This particular platter on the top has 41 beads. On the bottom it has 27. I settled on 3-degree spokes. So that actually gives you about 120 spokes. And you do the calculation, you realize that you've got almost 8,000 segments between the top and the bottom. So that makes for a lot of time. One of the things I realized on this is that if I followed all 120 spokes into the center, it was just going to be black. So what I then did was I started dropping out spokes as I went towards the center. And it continues the same look to it, except you wind up with a doable pattern in the middle. And if you look closely, you'll see that the center ring only has 5 spokes on it. So it's gone from 120 spokes down to 5, but it's not immediately obvious until you look at it. The coloring was done by using Faber-Castell Pitt pens, which I think those are India ink pens, which I think are pretty much standard for this sort of thing. I finished it with about 5 coats of matte acrylic lacquer. Did run into a problem there with it turning milky in some of the grooves, and I thought, oh my gosh, I ruined it. And then I used a hair dryer, which got rid of about 90% of it, of the milkiness. And then I also used a light coat, another final light coat of the acrylic lacquer. I think the problem was because even though I thought I was putting on light coats, it was accumulating at the bottom of the grooves. So I would be more careful about that next time. Overall, I put about 60 hours into actually creating the platter once I had settled on the design and created the fixtures. Fun project. And I have to give Jim credit for getting me started on it.
I'm sorry. The biggest problem with all of the work on this is you have to count very, very carefully. One mess up and it's ruined. So it's a good thing. Bob Nolan has taught classes on that for us in the past also. So we'll look forward to seeing Harvey when he comes and shows us steps in that technique. Good. So President's Challenge, we'll move pretty quickly here. We only have a couple or 3 entrants. So let's take a look at the first of the President's Challenges. Rick, again.
Yeah, this was very quick, but somehow the concept of a nested box just had never occurred to me till you suggested it. And yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. And it was my first attempt at something like that, of course. And darned if it didn't fit pretty well. It did the Jim Rodgers kind of slowly go down and pop at the bottom. And again, I mentioned zebra wood before. I had a few scraps left over, so I made the lids out of zebra wood. And the bodies are out of the Peter Travis pear from several years ago.
Thank you. Carl?
Oh, okay. I made these 4 boxes, and each one, the one on the right is the biggest one. It's 3 inches tall. I use a 2-inch Forstner bit, and then they just step down a 1/4 of an inch smaller all the way down. And you notice the one in the middle with the green, that was some birch. And when I cut it into it, I noticed it was full of wormholes. And I couldn't figure out what to do with it. So you'll notice all of them are painted on the inside. So the birch, I just decided to go ahead and paint the wormholes on the outside. And the one on the right is Bradford pear, birch, myrtle wood, and redwood. Next picture. There you can see they're stacked inside. And like I said, they're 1/4 of an inch difference in height and diameter. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do with the lid, or even if I do put a lid on it. I'm working on something a little special for the lid. And that's about it, Jim.
Again, then, Carl, so we can see them again with the final lid on them. I'm now intrigued.
Oh, one thing. I forgot to show the bottoms. I cut them all the way through, and then I inserted a bottom inside and all the bottoms are the same. It was walnut. And then I just cut the decorative grooves on the bottom. And I think that's it. Oh, I also, I finished them with friction polish and then a light coat of Renaissance wax. And I like them. Can't figure out a purpose for any of them other than the middle one because you can't put anything in them if you stack them. But it was fun making them, Jim.
Best thing to do is give them away.
Yeah, it was real. I had a lot of fun making them.
Thank you, Carl. And lastly, David Bentley.
Yeah, I thought this was great fun, Jim. I started with the first box is 4.5 inches and high and 2 1/8 inches wide. Did the 4 tubes initially, and then started with the first one and built the bottom, but didn't glue it in. Built the bottom for all the rest of them, and set them all aside and marked them. And then I worked on the tops, put the tops in, and used my pen jaws to hold them in place. And then at the very end, when everything was fit and sanded, I put them all together and finished them, glued the bottoms on, put the tops on, and they go together nicely. That air fit you talked about in your last meeting occurs with the large box, the second box, the third box, it falls a little faster. In that last box, it just drops real fast. And as far as suggestions on what to put in that little box, I've had too many suggestions I really disliked. And they were all the same. It says, buy your wife a diamond ring. And so I think what I'm going to do is we have to rethink that and find something else that's small and nice, and then give all the boxes to her.
I hope Mary's not watching the show and tell today, or she will give you additional ideas to work with.
I second the diamond ring.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, David.